If you are in the market for purchasing a massage gun and you are wondering what's the difference between the Hyperice Hypervolt and the Opove M3 Pro, then stick around and watch this video because I'm going to break it down and I'm going to give you my personal recommendations for which one is going to be best for you. Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. If you haven't met me before, my name's Jim. I'm a physical therapist, and all you gotta know about me is I love helping other people by sharing my knowledge and expertise in any way that I can. And that includes helping you save money if you are looking for purchasing specific equipment that's gonna help you feel better, move better, or anything of the sort. And so today we're looking at two very popular massage guns that seem to be really getting a lot of attention on the internet, and a lot of people want to know which of the two is the better investment with their money. So let's get right into it here and let's start talking about these two devices. All right, now I do want to mention that this is not a video on how to use these devices or when to use them or why they're used. That's for another video altogether. Today we're just looking at comparing these two very popular massage guns. So I'm down here today at the clinic that I work at. I work at Tower Physio and Sports Medicine. If you're in the Calgary area and you do need someone to check you out for some aches and pains or anything like that, please come find us. I'll put the website below. We would love to help you out in any way that we can because that's what we love to do. All right, getting right into it now. Here's the first thing I want you to know. Really, the gold standard massage gun is the Hypervolt by Hyperice. It is an absolute beast when it comes to being a reliable and very, very dependable massage gun to use. Now, this is the one that we use down here at the clinic. It's been just used constantly and it's held up great for us, but with that comes the fact that you're going to be spending more money in order to have such a device. So a lot of people want to know, well, is there an alternative that I can get that will work just as good or nearly just as good while saving some money? Now, this is a really good thing to address because if you go anywhere on Amazon or anywhere online for that matter, you're going to see there are literally a bazillion and more different types of massage guns and devices out there on the internet. And it's really tough because you start to wonder, well, if there's so many, then are they different? Is one way better than the other? And while I personally have not used all the ones out there, I have used the Hyperice Hypervolt a lot, as well as the Opove M3 Pro. The M3 Pro is my personal device. It's the one that I use either on myself at home or when I take it to the gym, or even if I have a couple of friends that maybe we're doing some workouts with and they just want to quickly use it as well. So that's the one that I use personally, but let's talk about the similarities and differences between the two. Now, the first thing that you're gonna know with these when you look at them is they look pretty much exactly the same. And that's because, well, frankly, the Opove is a complete knockoff of the Hyperice Hypervolt. But with that being said, don't necessarily write it off just yet because there's a couple of great things that are worth knowing about this. Now, we're going to be talking about the very common things that people on the internet seem to want to know with the differences between these two guns. So they want to know, first of all, the battery life. Is one have much better battery life than the other? They want to know what are the features, are there any differences in features? And then there's a couple other things in terms of the dependability and of course the noise that they make as well as the cost. So jumping right into the features here, if we start with the Hyperice Hypervolt, we're gonna notice that it's got 3 power settings with the power switch on the bottom. You turn it on and then again you get the green light indicator at the bottom to let you know that it is on. Now there's a battery life indicator at the back of the Hyperice, right where you have the button to select your 3 different power speeds for the gun itself. Now this is no different than the M3 Pro, the M3 Pro being a essential knockoff of the Hyperice. You have your power switch on the bottom, a green light indicator that will change colors just like the Hyperice when the battery starts to fade, as well as your 3 power settings that are on the back and the battery life indicator as well. Now in terms of battery, I'll just let you know that for the most part, they're pretty much the same. I haven't certainly seen any differences between the two. They seem to both be very good at getting multiple use sessions out of them before you even have to think about recharging them. And with that battery life indicator on the back, it's pretty easy to know when you might need to be recharging the device. Now, something else that's quickly worth mentioning here in today's comparison video. The Opove is one that I've had for a handful of months now and it's held up great. However, the Hyperice Hypervolt that we've had it for much longer than that and it has gotten much more extensive use. So keep that in mind when we do some of the comparisons here, because you might find that there's some differences, but we have to understand that maybe some of the differences are coming from the fact that the Hyperice has gotten used a lot more rather than the Opove here, which is a little bit more of a newer device. Now, the other thing that's worth mentioning is when you purchase these, you are going to get multiple different attachment heads for each device. So whether you get the Hyperice or you get the M3 Pro, you're going to know that they do come with different attachment pieces for different uses. Now, personally, I wouldn't get too hung up on this. As long as you have one or two different pieces, you should be okay. I like to use either the flat head or the just kind of straight rounded device, or the two-prong for going up and down the spine. Aside from that, I personally don't feel that there's any benefit with all these other extra attachment pieces. You might feel differently though, however, so that's just my personal insight, and I'll let you know that whichever device you get, they both come with multiple attachments. Now, in terms of the weight, they both feel the same. I could put one in my hand not knowing which one I was holding, and I wouldn't be able to tell one from the other. They weigh pretty much the same. Now, in terms of the power settings and the power output of these devices, they feel approximately the same for the first two power settings, and it's only on that third power setting that you can feel a difference. That difference being that the Hyperice does have a higher power output when it comes to being used on that third power setting. The Opove M3 Pro is pretty close, but it's only probably about 85 to 90% of the maximal power that the Hyperice generates. Now that makes sense, and again, that's something that's been very commonly noted on the internet in general with these different devices when you compare them to something like the Hyperice. All these other massage guns out there for less money seem to have a far lower maximal power setting than something like the Hyperice. Now, is that a make or break thing? Well, for someone like me, I can get by with having only 85 to 90% of the power on the M3 Pro. That's personally not an issue for me at all. Now, it might be for you, but I will tell you that even on the third power setting, that's a power setting I don't really use all the time because it's pretty intense. And so when I'm working with patients or even on myself, I tend to go between levels 1 and level 2, but rarely do I really go level 3 unless I feel it really needs it. Now, noise is another one that people are commonly wondering about. You certainly don't want to be using a device that is just waking up the neighbors or becoming obnoxiously loud, especially when you're having to use it on a regular basis. So what I've done is I've recorded the sounds that these devices make on all three of their power settings using my Zoom H1 recorder. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play you some clips recorded with that audio capturing device to let you hear these sound differences for yourself. All right, now last but certainly not least, we need to talk about the price because there is a hefty price difference between these two devices. Now, the Hyperice Hypervolt, again, it's kind of like the Ferrari or the Lamborghini. It is the beautiful, sexy massage device to have, but you pay that Ferrari or Lamborghini price for it. So you'll be able to pick it up anywhere from $300 to $350, that's US dollars, based on whether they're having any types of sales or any discounts that you can maybe get when you purchase it. Now, when it comes to the M3 Pro, you can pick this up for approximately $100 less than what you can with the Hyperice Hypervolt. Now, with that being said, keep in mind prices change all the time, but as of the making of this video, the Hyperice is going for about $300 to $350. I think they have a sale on right now, so it's about $300 US, whereas the M3 Pro, you can pick it up for about $200. So the question is there enough of a difference between these two devices in order to justify spending $100 more? Well, in my personal opinion, the M3 Pro does the job just fine for the approximate $200 or so that you're going to be spending. Now, I would personally say if money is not an issue for you in any way, shape, or form, go with the Hyperice Hypervolt. That thing is an absolute beast. It has held up well for as much as we have constantly been using it in the clinic. And while I'm hoping the M3 Pro will do the same, it's certainly starting off that way. Only time is going to tell if it will hold up to the exact same amount and extent of use as what the Hyperice has gone through. But that brings up another important point here is if you're using this only for yourself and it won't be getting used excessively every single day, then you probably have to worry about durability less, and I would say it's a safer bet then to go with the M3 Pro. Now, if you're someone who's going to be using one in the clinic constantly, day in, day out, then it's probably worth spending the extra $100 just to have the Hyperice because you have some serious durability and reliability with it. Now, if you have used a different massage device and you feel that it is just as good or even better than any of these devices here, then feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Let me know why you like it. Let me know what it is that you really feel makes it worth the money spent, because there's a million of these things out there, and I certainly don't know the quality or reliability of all of them. Really, I only just know it from the Hyperice Hypervolt and the M3 Pro because I use both of these a lot. All right, everyone, that's all I've got for the video. Short, sweet, and to the point, just trying to give you some good information to help you make an informed decision about what might be the best purchase for you, hoping to save you money but still give you something that's of quality value and something that gives you peace of mind. Now, if you found this video helpful in any way, please hit the like and subscribe button. That would mean a lot to me. That will help me grow the channel, and it will help me get content out there to help other individuals and help them with saving money and learning how to move better and get out of pain. So I appreciate any support you give by clicking the like and subscribe button. Okay, everyone, that's it. If you have any questions with these devices, leave them in the comment section below. I will do my best to get back to you and answer them, again, to help you out, because that's something that I just absolutely love to do. Take care of yourselves, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.